Judy, thanks for doing this interview. Perhaps we could start with you telling us a little bit about your work and your school.
Thank you. My name's Julie Wallis. I run a small language school with about 16 teachers in northern Italy. We specialise in business English training, and we also belong to an association of language schools in Italy called IBET, which is a quality bar, if you like, for us. We have to meet certain requirements, we're inspected by them. And I'm also the educational consultant for IBET. So my role with them is also to organise training events during the year, to organise an annual DOS day, and to give reports back to the owners of the schools who belong to the association, and also to be involved in the process of the inspections of the schools, although I'm not an inspector myself.
That's very interesting. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your school and the clients that you have?
Yeah, well, we're not in an area where we have a huge number of multinational companies, but there are some. There are some quite important Canadian and American companies with subsidiaries in our area. So we do some quite specific courses for human resource managers, for marketing managers. In Italian they're the directors, so we're talking about top level management. And we do some more general business English courses for students who come to our school. Mainly we're visiting companies and providing tailor-made courses for those students.
Okay. Now you mentioned earlier you have a staff of 16.
Yes.
And I think it would be really interesting to hear the perspective of somebody who actually employs business English teachers, and to hear about what you're looking for in a business English teacher.
So when I'm looking for a business teacher, I'm not necessarily looking for somebody who's already qualified, but certainly somebody who's willing to go the extra mile and do some serious training, to get some skills, to go in and do something that's so different for our students, something that sets us apart.
Okay, and what kind of qualities are you looking for in a teacher?
Well, to start with appearance, I think that's quite important actually, because you can't, I'm very lucky because I've got staff that have been with me for years. We all know what's expected of us. It's not like employing young people from England who not necessarily are going to dress the part. In Italy, appearance is very, very important. So I also, I'm looking for people who are willing to share ideas, good team players, because the policy in our school is to observe peers regularly and be observed, to feedback between peers, not necessarily to us, to make suggestions for training, but to share ideas. In fact, at the end of any observation between peers, there's a little part on the paper which says, what would I take away from my colleague's lesson, and what would I like to give my colleague? And that's something we really insist on. They must do that. So, and it's actually become common practice for people, and generally the more qualified teachers, to say, excuse me, would you just pop in and watch this lesson? I'm doing a one-to-one lesson with a marketing manager and I just don't seem to have quite understood what he wants. Could you just... So there's always room. I think they have to be humble enough to know that there's always room for improvement. And what else? They've got to be, I think, quite lively and dynamic. I'm not saying that they have to be extrovert, because you can have quite shy teachers that are still very good teachers. And often they've had some experience in business, so we do have people who we would particularly put with chartered accountants and other people who would teach lawyers. Having said that, I think we are here to teach English, we're not here to teach British law. So I do believe that a good teacher with all the skills necessary could actually go in and teach English to different clients. They've really got to understand needs analysis. It all comes down to that.
That's really interesting. So, just to round things off, what piece of advice would you give a teacher who's thinking of moving into business English, say from general English?
Well, first of all, have a laptop. If you haven't got a laptop, you don't teach business English, because I think you need to be able to move with the times, and I think if you're creating tailor-made materials, you need to be using what's out there on the web, and up-to-date, authentic materials. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is to do a course that will help you use what is out there. So that would either be a Cert IBET or an ICT skills course, something that really gives you the input and sets you apart.
All right, that's wonderful. Thanks very much.